Hey, welcome to 9394, a music podcast with me, Travis. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate it as always. My brother Judd is back on the show, I'm happy to say. Sometimes on the show, I like to get outside of the specific parameters of 1993 and 1994. For instance, like this album that we're looking at today, Hayden's Everything I Long For, was recorded mostly in 94, if not completely in 94. And released in 95. Judd is the person in my life best equipped to talk about this album. Absolutely. He is the biggest Hayden fan I know, him and his wife. So I was really glad to get him talking about this album that means so much to him and that we bonded over as kids. We were able to bond over again as adults, which is pretty cool. So check out that conversation between me and my brother Judd. Okay, Judd, my actual brother. How's it going?
Good, man. How you doing?
Good. We just said hello to each other off air. We're doing the second podcast hello, which is much less natural feeling.
True. True. But it's good to see you. I don't get to see you very often, so.
Yeah. It's always good to see my brother. We'll be seeing each other relatively soon, but I'll take the video chat when I can. We should probably do this more often when, not podcasting,
We said that last time. And we have yet to do it.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's a good excuse for us to end up doing it anyways, because typically we'll podcast and then kind of talk on either side of the actual episode. So
right.
It's a check-in and an actual episode. So here we are.
You look good.
Thanks, brother. You do too. Looking sleeveless today. You've been working out? You've been lifting?
No, I have not. I've been lifting Twinkies, but I'm wearing it's my Hayden shirt, and so I thought I would wear it.
And you had your Hayden hat on when we.
Things are as bad as they seem.
Things are as bad as they seem.
Yes.
That's one of those hats that 0.4% of the American population gets, but they love it.
Yeah. We did enter the Bizarro timeline when the gorilla died, I guess. Harambe, yeah.
Oh, is that when that happened? I always thought it was when everyone started saying that it was the Berenstain Bears and not the Berenstein Bears. But So which album are we doing exactly? We've alluded to Mr. Desser, if you're nasty, also known as Hayden. Which album are we doing of his?
We're doing Everything I Long For, his breakout album in 1995 by Mr. Paul Hayden Desser.
Oh, Paul Hayden Desser. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
All right.
Born in 1971. He's a couple years older than us.
About what I would have guessed. Maybe almost a decade older than me, just a few years older. Just a little bit older than you because you're ancient.
Yep. Yes, that's true.
So we're getting outside of 1993, 1994 proper a little bit, but I like to do that every so often on the show, especially when someone's come back like you are for your, your third visit.
Yeah, third visit. And I know you've said before, people on the third visit can, but technically he put out a cassette in 1994 called In September that basically has all the same songs on it.
Yeah,
but we didn't listen to that.
We didn't listen to that. We don't. And yeah. And also this was recorded in 1994. So I feel like we've got all of our qualifications out of the way. This is fine. This is close enough to the purview of the show. So I'm assuming that, like me, you got into this album because of the song Bad As They Seem.
Yep. I got into it. There was this weird kid in my neighborhood who listened to this album and tried to play the harmonica in his room and guitar upstairs in my neighborhood, in my house.
Oh, you're talking about me.
Yeah. And you're the one that actually got me into Hayden.
That's funny. I'm listening. To you, and I'm like, oh, who's he talking about? This kid sounds cool.
Yeah, he was cool. He was
I
pretty
don't
cool.
remember trying to cover it, but I believe you because I was definitely I was very smitten with Hayden. I was
I don't think you were
misinformed.
covering it, what I heard, but you were much like him. Like I think you were
Oh, okay.
influenced by him because I remember you playing guitar,
Yeah.
getting the harmonica with the cage and everything.
Okay, so this album came out in 1995 in Canada. It came out in 1996 in America. So we didn't actually hear it until the summer of 96. But by that point, I had written hundreds of songs on my acoustic guitar. And I was under the mistaken belief that this album, Everything I Long For, was recorded on a 4-track like I owned at the time because I thought it was all really stripped down. And it is really stripped down, but it was recorded in a proper studio. But in a lot of ways, what he's doing on this album was what I wanted to do with my life, what I wanted to do. So I think I was pretty influenced by it, emulated it, and really dug his voice in particular, that baritone. That was not a sound that you heard from indie rock musicians as much at the time. Mostly it was a lot more kind of reedy kind of tenor guys. And to have him blow in with maybe even a bass, he could be a bass, I'm not sure, but he's got such a distinct voice, it really stood out to me.
Yeah, that baritone growl.
Mhm.
I felt the same way. I liked it because, like you said, I get my time frames mixed up because my brain is small and smooth. But
Okay.
I do remember that you played guitar, played the harmonica, and I heard Hayden, and I liked it. And it was something that I thought, well, if this guy can do it with the 4-track, Travis can do it with the 4-track. I thought the same thing at the time. I thought that album was recorded with him and a 4-track.
Yeah.
Which later I read on that cassette in September in 1994. He actually did have a 4-track loaned to him by a high school friend that was in a couple bands, and one of which went on to be a famous band. I can't remember the name. But he was doing all these songs on a 4-track in his first years of college at, I can't remember where it was, maybe Ryer, I can't quite remember, but it was a school for kind of like what you did, TV and radio.
Mm-hmm.
So he basically recorded all these songs on a 4-track on cassette while in college.
That's funny. That's the opposite experience I had because I did the opposite because I loaned my 4-track to a high school friend who kept it and eventually broke, and I never got it back. And I've always kind of wondered,
let's put them on blast. Who is that?
He knows who he is. It was actually 2 friends. They both know who they are.
But come out on in an episode of 93, 94.
This is a very long time ago, and one of them I actually just gave a hard time about it again, recently, so I don't need to publicly blast him. But it's one of those things in my life that I've kind of always wondered about. When I had the 4-track, I was soloing a lot and playing with percussion and all kinds of stuff, trying to build my songwriting kind of style and stuff. And I've always kind of wondered if I had kept the 4-track, if I wouldn't have ended up falling into the just rhythm guitar / just singing in bands person that I became, because I eventually got to the point where I was I'm not that good at this stuff. Other people are better that I'm friends with, and they can do the music playing while I do the singing. I'll focus on that. I mean, I did play bass and guitar in some bands and stuff, but it's just one of those inflection points I always kind of wondered in my life, what if I'd gone down that audio engineering route?
Oh, I get it. I understand.
You know what I mean?
I have the same thing. I guess to say how I understand and I relate is, how rare is it that someone as a kid can get an actual real live drum set for a birthday and then never play it because they don't get lessons and they're too embarrassed to play loudly and badly and disrupt their family.
Is that why you didn't play the drum set that was in our basement?
Yeah, I just wish that I would have put on headphones or something and just banged around, but I never did.
And while we're on Wasted Potential, we also had an untuned piano in our house. It just sat there.
Yeah.
And
we were set up for music.
And I know, man. I wish
you did. You went. Well, Carly did too. She was on the flute. She was a good flute player. And look at it this way with the 4-track. I mean,
she's
at least
a really good guitar player now.
Yeah, true. And singer.
Mm-hmm.
Look at it this way with the 4-track. Look at how your friend and his brother music is super important in their lives. Maybe that was part of the reason, so you helped in that.
Maybe. So back to Hayden and Everything I Long For. How about the main question of this podcast, which is always the big one? What's your favorite song on this album, Judd?
My favorite song, which I think is probably the best musically, is Bad As They Seem.
Oh, okay.
she's only 16. That's why she's only a dream. Woman of my dreams lives right down my street. Has a daughter who's 16. That's why she's only a dream.
I mean, there's so many songs to pick from that are good. I mean, I know a lot of people don't like this album. Isn't for everybody. It's like you said, he's a baritone type of indie folk, and it's usually pretty melancholy.
Mm-hmm.
But Bad as They Seem seems like the most well put together, maybe production wise. It's a good one. I like the idea of how he's longing for like a good woman and a good job, and somehow that's going to bring him the happiness he wants, you know? Yeah, I like that song.
It's a strong opener and a good choice for a first single. I mean, I know that there are other singles from the album, but I don't remember hearing them on the radio or anything. You know, this is a Canadian artist that we're talking about. We grew up in a suburb outside of Detroit, which means that we were close to Windsor, Canada. So we always had access to 89X, the radio station that comes out of Windsor. I think it's still airing. I don't think they play good music anymore, though. But they played that song in pretty heavy rotation.
Did they?
Yeah, it was definitely one that, like, you know, I'd sit there poised with a cassette player, like waiting to record it and that kind of stuff. But I got the CD pretty early on. I mean, I definitely got the CD pretty early on, and it was because of that song for sure.
Now, do you still have that album? I was searching my attic, my garage, everywhere for it. And Sherry, my wife, is like, we have it. I could not find it anywhere.
I can't find mine. I got rid of and sold a whole bunch of my CDs at one point. Pretty much everything I had that was like, that I had digitally elsewhere. So I should still have that somewhere, but I can't find it. I took a brief look, but I think it might be in a box in my basement.
Okay, well, hopefully you have it. I just hope you have all your cassettes. You used to have a bunch of cassettes. I wish you still did.
I used to have hundreds. Now I'm down to like 50. Yeah.
That's a shame. Well, what's your favorite song?
My favorite song on this album is My Parents' House.
Okay, yeah.
Time when you stayed over, you stayed in bed forever. The mail piled at the door. Time we lost track of the hours. Pizza boxes tower. The floor beside the bed.
I think that song is beautiful and so sad. And I got this thing. I was talking about this on a recent episode when I was talking about the song Night Swimming on REM's Automatic for the People. I got this real boner for songs that are like super nostalgic, not in that you have nostalgia for them, although I do have nostalgia for the song, but the song itself
is about nostalgia.
And like how you can't go back and all that. And like, and, you know, I'm definitely someone that was pretty gloomy about my high school girlfriend for many, many years after high school. So I could like appreciate that longing of like, if we could just go back to re-experience that one good weekend we had together, you know, of just avoiding our friends and, you know, not even leaving the house, just surviving on pizza delivered so we could fucking stay in bed all day because we had some time to ourselves at that age when we never had time to ourselves. And it's a really, really good song.
Yeah, it is. I do like that song. I'm glad that it's a different song than what I picked because there's so many good songs.
Mm-hmm.
I was afraid we'd have the same picks again, and the only clips of songs we'd hear would be like only 3. But that one's great. I love that one. And I love how at the end he's like, oh, I know you have a new boyfriend, basically, but I want you to leave him and then come back to me and things will be just like they were in the beginning. It's like, no, they won't. They'll never. That's never gonna happen. Which is exactly a classic Hayden song. No.
No,
Yeah.
it's sad.
And it's also one of the few piano songs on the album. Like, he's awesome acoustic guitar player, but I
Yes.
really like him on the piano too. Like,
Yeah.
it's just a gorgeous song. It just strikes you. It's an emotional wallop of a song on an album that has a few other songs that are emotional wallops that are like too much
Yes.
in some ways. And this one like hits in the right spot. Although I will call it out a little bit. I mean, so my main complaint about this album is that we are getting Hayden at his earliest in his songwriting, and he becomes a much better lyricist as time goes on. Some of the lyrics on this album are a little facile, like, we can't go back to the times we used to have, without you they'd be bad. That's a pretty terrible lyric.
Yeah.
But it's also really heartfelt and sincere and like on the sleeve, so I can respect that too.
Yeah, I totally agree with you with this, because this is his first album. He put it out himself, and it went international. You know, he was like
It's
23.
amazing. Yeah.
It's his first thing, and like I've heard reviews, and they're like, I hate it. You guy's a horrible lyricist. It's too slow. The lyrics are boring or something. I can't remember. I was like, yeah, but this is his first album. He's 23, and it went international, and he got super famous from it.
And his songwriting style itself is awesome, like the structure of it. And he certainly improved as a lyricist as the albums went on.
In 2001 or something, like with the Skyscraper National Park, like
It's my favorite album of his.
yeah, I've heard him say, you know, when people are recommended to him, he's like, I recommend that album up, you know. But the funny thing is like, if I had a chance to listen to all the albums, which I do, but most of the time I'll pick the first or second album.
Well, that brings me to my next question, because if I just said my favorite album is Skyscraper National Park. What's your favorite album of his? Is it?
Oh, this one's my favorite album overall, but out of all of his albums, like I can look at an album and be like, I love Woody, I love Bass Song, I love Lonely Security Guard, you know, like, and those are all from different albums, you know. But Skyscraper National Park has some good ones, but I do think The Closer I Get would be my second favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right
the
on.
second album. Because he's still got that young angst. And you were speaking about nostalgia, and when I think of this album and the one after, I mean, a lot of his stuff is melancholy and, you know, pining for love or missing love, failing at love. And around that time, 95, I was like 19, and I was obviously in love with someone who was not in love with me. And
She would be in time.
She would be in time once, you know,
because you married her.
I convinced her somehow. Tricked her somehow to love me, which worked out
for decades. So you must have done something right.
So I look back at these, and I just have like, I can remember emotionally how I was feeling back in those days, you know?
Yeah. I think that was partly why the album hit me so hard too. It wasn't just the classic acoustic and, you know, singer-songwriter combo stuff. It is, for whatever complaints I might have about the lyrics, there is a lot that I found really relatable and accessible, because it's a pretty young songwriter, and he's older than us, but not much older than us. So it makes sense that it would strike us. So, but what about on the other end of things? What's your least favorite song in this album?
This part is hard to answer. Like Sherry, who loves this album as well and loves Hayden. As you know, you bought us a Hayden poster, which we have framed and we love. But this one I chose I'm to Blame.
I consider your letter. I understood your questions. I'm wasting away. I've gone astray. Take me away. Know what you say. I'm to blame. Didn't want change.
Oh, really? That's actually my underrated song.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say it's a pretty song. It's a good song. The only reason I chose it is because if I'm driving in the car somewhere and I need to get somewhere and I'm not in like a I hate myself type of mood, you know?
Too much of a bummer?
Too much of a bummer, like, you know, yes, it's all my fault. I'm sorry. I know you'll never take me back. I only chose it because if I'm in a car and I'm driving somewhere, it's pretty slow. And it's like, you could sum it all up in like 3 sentences that he says, and then, you know, he just repeats some things. It's a pretty song, though. It's a good song. I don't think it's bad. I'm just basing this off of, like, when I do skip things when I'm trying to go somewhere, it might be I'm to blame because it's slower than most.
Yeah, I'm not asking what you think is a bad song, just what's your least favorite.
It's hard. I mean, like,
Yeah.
I know my nieces would say every song is the worst song because they hate it. They've always said, we don't want to listen to the old man. I'm like, you're going to listen and you're going to like it.
In my car, it's Hayden or nothing.
Yeah, that's what we did. We were like, no. Sherry and I were like, no, we're listening.
Yeah, I picked I'm to Blame as underrated because it's so short and it is so, it tugs on the heartstrings pretty hard, but it kind of pairs well with My Parents' House in a lot of ways. I kind of suspect that if it's a true story, that it's about the same girl and they're both piano songs. So I feel like they kind of accompany each other a little bit. And I've also been that guy. I've been the guy to break up with someone or to like push someone away from me. And then after the fact, be like, oh, whoops. Hey, sorry. So I could relate to that one too. And it's just, I think it's a really pretty song, but I can understand it being your least favorite.
Oh, well.
So my least favorite, I picked for the same reason as you. Not because I dislike the song overall, but because it's the only song on the album that I skipped because it's such a fucking bummer. Tragedy.
Broken bottle won't hurt me. Nothing worse than I have dreamed. Gunshot in my chest, you'll leave. I can take that, you will see. Late at night is when I dream. Horrible things are what I see. Hard for me to believe. I wake up and I won't breathe.
Tragedy?
Tragedy's a bummer, dude. I'm sorry. I
yes,
got shot in the chest. My best friend died in a car accident. It's really slow. It's not like it's bad.
Yeah.
It's not like it's bad. It's just like I'm driving around. You get that train whistle stuff, and I'm like, oh man, this is. I'm gonna fucking open a vein if I get to the end of this song. It's the only song I skip. It's just so depressing.
Like, yeah. I like it, but I mean, he's also talking about how he wants to be free from these tragedies. Wake me up to free me from these. Like he's. I don't know if that's a reference to death, but I was kind of surprised. I thought you were gonna say it was just so tragic and sad. I thought you were gonna say When This Is Over about the kids,
the Susan Smith thing,
driven into the lake.
Yeah, that's also a really sad song, but I can get through it in a different way because, for one, I think it's just better structured. I think it's not as... Yeah, the lyrical content is the biggest bummer on the album. On an album full of bummers, but it's the biggest bummer to me, it's the biggest bummer, but musically speaking, I think it pairs a little bit well together. And also part of me is like, if I can get through tragedy, I can get through When This Is Over.
It was hard for me because I'm to blame and When This Is Over. I'll skip When This Is Over because that's just such a real bummer and
Yeah,
a sad story. We remember that news story and that tragedy to those kids, but I can see what you're saying with tragedy. Oh, speaking of him being a great piano player, I agree. In fact, I love a lot of his YouTube songs where he does them live and it's just like him at the piano, like bass song. There's a YouTube version. It's just him, a harmonica, and a piano. And it's amazing.
Well, and while we're kind of on the things about the album that we're not necessarily in love with, my second choice for least good song, which I like the song, so I didn't choose it. But I will say, when it comes to the song "Hardly," the story that's being told there, like I am someone who
Cringe.
I have zero fucking game. I need like for a woman to
Yeah.
to date
You had
someone.
more
A woman
game
needs
than
like,
I did. Like you had multiple girlfriends in high school. I did not.
I don't know, man. I basically need a woman to like club me over the head and drag me back to her fucking cave in order for me to realize that it wasn't
You can dance and get. That's going to happen with you. You can go out on the dance floor and dance, and you're
maybe
social.
20, 30 years ago. It's been a long time since I've been out on the dance floor, Judd.
But I agree. It's total. That song is cringe. It's like, come on, man.
No, like you're telling me that you're all upset because you sent a woman to another woman with your phone. Like this is the worst fucking hit on I've ever heard in my life. I'm sorry, Hayden. Like it's cringe. Like you said, it's like oh man, I wouldn't share this story personally.
Yeah. Whenever I hear it, you know what it makes me think of? It makes me think of Two Doors Down or the other song where he can hear a really pretty woman that he was attracted to in the hotel, and she got the room next to him, and he's playing a guitar or something. But that's
By Hayden?
Yeah, by Hayden. It's on a different album, but
Okay.
I can't remember. I think it's Two Doors or something like that.
Sounds like Paper Thin Walls by Leonard Cohen based on the content, but
Maybe. But I agree. I'm sorry. Back to the current album. You're right. Like in my notes, I'm like, this is like the most cringe incel type of thing. That every time I listen to it, I'm like, I love his storytelling. I love him because he's telling a story. He's a singer-songwriter, but
he's a storyteller too.
Storyteller. Yeah. He's more of a storyteller, and I love to be entertained with a story. So even though the story is cringe, it's still a story and it's still Hayden. I like it, but like you, I just every time I hear it, I'm like, oof, I have no game, and still I'm like, if this is true, good on him for being able to put that story out there. You know, that's like saying some embarrassing shit.
That's the other side of it is like, yeah, it's cringy, but also like you gotta respect. I mean, it's pretty emo, but you gotta respect his ability to just be like, this is me, this is how I am, this is what I'm feeling. And this song, this whole album, but this song in particular, it really demonstrates that he is a heart on the sleeve kind of guy, like I said earlier. Like, that's gonna draw people to you a lot of times. I mean, sometimes it'll be too much for some people. Too intimate will make them feel uncomfortable, but to me, it makes me feel like in a way that like I'm close to this guy, like he's sharing something with us. Yeah, so I respect it, even though I have
but I want to tell you I just can't leave here without telling you just how lonely I've been lately. You are just as lonely. Maybe we should go out for some coffee. On the way out the door, the rain lets me know that she went up to you. Gave you my number and said, call him or else he'll be sad. And I waited.
Let's get back to the happier side of things, because overall,
Is there a happier side?
Well,
I guess there is.
Not happier side, but the more positive side. What's your underrated song on this album?
Oh God. Okay. So here's the thing with underrated. Like, of course, I want to say Skates, but the thing is, every concert I've been to, everyone's yelling, "Skates, Skates, Skates!" You know, everyone
I think
loves.
It's kind of a beloved song. Yeah,
it's a beloved song. It's one of the best stories and lyrics I think that he's wrote out of all of his albums. So I want to say Skates, but on the other side of the coin, what I don't hear people yelling is Driveway, which makes me think of, like, you know, he's telling a story about him and his brother, sticking 14 stones up their nose. So if I were to say, for people that haven't listened, I'd say you have to listen to Skates.
Department store center. I saw a man enter. He was middle-aged, deep lines on his face.
I can't. It's a toss-up because it's between Skates and Driveway for me.
Do you want me to play them both at the same time in the background?
I
Both
don't.
songs like overlapping one another? Because that's kind of what you're asking me to do here.
I'm sorry. I have to make a decision. You know me, I'm very decisive.
No, we'll work it out. I mean, I hear you. I think that Skates is like a good song, but I think it's a pretty popular song. Whereas Driveway, I feel like is a rocker on an album that's mostly pretty bummer, and the song is not a bummer either, and it's not one I ever hear people talk about even back in the
Right.
day.
I'll go with Driveway.
Laundry basket, I sit and while we try to tell me I should know, tell me I would throw the sticking 14 stones gently up my nose.
Although, while I'm trashing the lyrics, I will say, stones up my nose no one sees, until one day I'm eating peas, a stone falls from my nose, they see, not great, but great song.
True.
Great song.
That's why I'm going with Skates.
Seeing him in the store I worked for that year.
Skates is the one, man, because that one's it's beloved, and then it wasn't
What a fucking challenge this is going to be to edit, but okay.
Sorry. For underrated, I'm going to go with Skates. This system amazingly, lyrics are great. It's a wonderful story. I just love it. It's not underrated to fans, but if you're a new listener, it's definitely one you should definitely pay attention to.
It's also like a pretty clear story. So I know you've seen him live before because I saw him with you. Did you see him besides that time?
Yes, I saw him in North Carolina at Chapel Hill. And
Oh, cool.
Recently for me, we saw him at the Soda Bar in California in 2013.
Oh, that was 12 years ago.
Yeah, right? And that one was great. I think the biggest place we saw him was at the Shelter with you, which we have stories about that show. Which we
Okay,
can
so
get into in
I don't know if I
second.
want to get into it because, like, I'm sitting here thinking about how much I love the album, and how much I've kind of trashed his lyrics and stuff. But that show was literally probably the worst show of my life.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. But the Soda Bar one in California was great. It was a super small show in a small bar. We sat in a booth. We played every song that we loved. When he was leaving the club, he's walking like within touch, and I'm like, "Hey, Hayden, thank you for coming out. We've seen you in North Carolina. We've seen you in Michigan. We love your music. Thanks for coming." He stopped and spoke with us for a bit. It was really nice. I think Dave has actually spoken to him too as well. But to go back to the Shelter, it was the worst concert ever because
For you too?
yeah, because I think we all had to work or something the next morning. He didn't start until like 2 hours late because the band above was super loud.
Yeah.
Sherry got a free CD out of it because she was a young, pretty girl, and as we were leaving, they handed her the album Closer I Get on our way out, which was nice.
Which she already had, probably, right?
No, that was how she got it.
Oh, because didn't we see him when Everything I Wait? Yeah, no, I'm sorry. That's I get those two albums names confused. The Closer I Get is when we saw him. Was on that tour. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it was like that album had just come out, I think. So yeah, we saw him in the basement of the Shelter, which is the basement of St. Andrews. It's called the Shelter, the venue in Detroit. And so there's like a rock band playing upstairs, and if he had just played, once he started singing and playing guitar and mic'd, we would not have heard the shit above. But instead, like, this dude sat there with no opening band, nothing. We just stood around and waited for like 2 fucking hours until the show upstairs ended. And then he came out, did not address us, did not say hello to the crowd. He barely fucking acknowledged us. Played almost only new songs off of The Closer I Get. Played almost nothing off of Everything I Long For. Played a really short set, like a 25-minute set, 30-minute set, and then said thanks and walked off the stage. And it was like, Jesus Christ. Thanks, dude.
Yeah.
I was pissed.
Every other concert I've seen of him was amazing. He was super,
bet.
spoke to the crowd. He was very nice. But yeah, that night was...
We caught him on a bad night.
We caught him on a bad night. Also, I don't even know if we were really listening to The Closer I Get. I think maybe you had the album. I didn't. I know Sherry didn't. And
I think it was like brand fucking new.
It was brand new, and we were like expecting Everything I Long For songs. And you're right. I remember he played like 4 or 5 songs and left, and I was just like
disappointed.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've been listening to this week a CD you burned for me, which was his live at Convocation Hall CD. And on that album, like, he is cracking jokes. Like, he's a fucking stand-up comedian. He's telling stories about the songs.
Yeah.
He's playing covers. I'm like, where was this Hayden? But again, I only saw him one time, right? So I can't, like, judge his whole live performance skills on that.
I think about it. That was probably when he was, what, 24, 25?
Yeah, he was still a pretty young dude. And clearly was salty about the Shelter setup.
Which makes me laugh because, you know, he's from Canada. Or
Yeah.
I would imagine he'd played there before. I'm not sure, though. I mean, it was in his younger years, so maybe that was his first experience with the Shelter. But yeah, every concert after was great.
If I get the chance, I've not seen him come through here, or at least around me again. Maybe he has and I just missed it. But if I get the chance to see him again, though, I definitely will. I'd love to.
He tours some still, but he's mostly been staying in Canada recently.
Yeah,
if I
I've
remember
noticed.
correctly. He had 2 daughters. One has special needs, so it's hard for him to get out of the country.
That
too
makes
much.
sense.
Which, side note, he and his wife run a charity event every year, a concert called Dream Serenade, where it raises funds and helps with benefits with schools for kids with special needs and their caretakers. And
That's super cool.
they've had people like Feist on the event,
Mhm.
people like the National, and even the rural Alberta
Advantage.
Yeah. So
Another good Canadian band.
yeah,
Do you know where this takes place? Is it like
Canada,
in the same town?
usually Canada,
Well, yeah. I mean, where in Canada? I mean.
Ontario, I believe.
Oh, okay. That's what I was hoping you were going to say, because that's not too far from me. Maybe I should look
Yeah.
into that.
So they've been doing it for the past 10 years.
Cool. I mean, assuming that I can go to Canada and like come back into the country and all that kind of stuff. So, is there anything else you want to say about this album before we move on to the end of the episode?
I mean, there is one song I do miss. It originally came out with 16 songs.
Mm-hmm.
But now on like the Spotify version, which I've been listening to, there's only 14.
So I've been trying to figure that out. Like Bunk Bed and another song I can't remember the name of. I saw it was listed, and I can't remember if they were on the original version of the CD that I had or not. I don't think they were, but I went and listened to Bunk Bed, and it sounded familiar. So I'm really not sure.
Yeah, I do think Bunk Bed was originally on there, what we listened to.
The CD that we had?
Yeah, I could sing it almost verse for verse. Like, what's he say? Something like,
I don't like bunk beds.
yeah,
Something like that.
I love it. It's like, I thought I'm dead from my bunk bed. I hate bunk beds.
I
makes me
hate bunk
laugh.
beds.
Like I just remember us having our bunk beds at Dad's. I can't remember what age I was when I finally chose the dark, damp basement at Dad's house.
That was about 92 or so.
But we had bunk beds, and like driveway and bunk bed makes me think of you and I specifically.
Probably because we had bunk beds, and while you never made me shove anything up my nose, you
I
did do other things.
other things.
You convinced me to eat live ants once. There was that.
I love you. I'm sorry.
Sorry, I love you. I love you. I'm sorry.
How many times am I going to say this?
You brought it up.
Yeah.
Waited till 10 for her to come on in to show me how she learned to twist her limbs. That's great. Show me. It looks like so much fun. Just once, oh please. I'll sleep when I am done. I bounced my bed. I hurt my head. I saw red. I thought I'm dead from my bunk bed. I hate bunk beds.
But I guess if there's any type of outro, I'd like in September.
Okay.
You look at like the album; they're very folky and sad, but I
That's a
think
rock
in
song.
September is like rocking, you know. And he's like, I don't need to know about these other fucking dudes. You wanted time apart. Fuck off. You know. I thought that was a good one.
Yeah, it's a good one, and it shows that if he wanted to, he could have been in a very different kind of band, a very different
Yes.
kind of performer if he wanted to, which would have been probably more commercially lucrative and acceptable at the time. And maybe if his second album had gone further down that road, he probably would have been more successful, honestly,
Possibly.
at the time, but probably not in the long run.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. I read an interview with him from like 2016 or something, and he was saying like a lot of his friends, the guy he lent the 4-track to, they were doing like rockin' type of songs.
Mm-hmm.
They would bring him out as like an open band, and it was just him and an acoustic guitar.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, I think that's why I stood out, and people remembered and wanted to listen more because I didn't sound like all the rockin' bands at the time.
Makes sense.
So there's the other side of the coin too. But he can do it, and I liked that one. What about you? Is there anything else you'd like to talk about? Like, there's so many good songs. There's so much to say, but
Yeah. So the one last thing I want to mention is is a way to segue into the end of the episode, because I like to try and have some sort of game or trivia or whatever at the end of the episodes, and I always like to kind of base them on the album whenever possible. I remember laughing many times with you to the hidden track of this album of the guy saying the recipes at the end of the album and getting increasingly, it sounds drunk.
yeah,
as he sings
yeah,
how to make a
sounds like fear and
fealty.
loathing type of shit, you know?
Hi, this is Johnny Polito, chef at Polito's. What makes Polito's so wonderful is its club sandwich, which is highly known for its frozen yet explosive moisture crunch. This is achieved through putting lettuce before the sandwich is made, running it under some water, wrapping it in some paper towel, and placing it in your freezer.
So I got a little game for you.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you to identify by name, if you can. I've got 5 different famous sandwiches here. I'm going to, not literally, I'm not going to eat them. I'm going to tell you the ingredients, and you tell me the name of the sandwich.
Oh, jeez. All right.
All right? Want to give it a
Yeah.
shot?
Sure.
I usually do 9 of these things, but that seems like a lot for this. We're doing 5.
All right.
All right. So to begin with, should I do the accent? First, you put the ham on the sandwich. Okay, no, I'm not going to do it the whole time. That would get really annoying.
Yeah. It's like once you commit to that, then you got to continue, and then it
Yeah.
yeah. get there.
I annoy myself just in the editing process, let alone my listeners.
You put the butter into the pan to melt the butter in the pan.
So this sandwich that I have in mind here, it has ham, roasted pork, Swiss cheese, yellow mustard, pickles, and it's pressed on crusty bread like a panini.
Oh, that's the ham Mongolian sandwich.
Sounds good, but it's a Cuban sandwich.
Yeah, that's what I said. All right.
Okay. Cuba and Mongolia, they're like right next to each other.
0 for 1.
All right.
Zero.
Zero for 5. All right, we'll see. Or 0 for 1. Thinly sliced roast beef, provolone, and au jus on a roll. Sometimes maybe has caramelized onions.
Yeah. Reuben? No.
Nope. One more guess?
Oh, it's like you dip it into the sauce.
That's true. You do. You dip it in the au jus. And it's from a specific country.
All right. I'll go with. It's from a specific country, so you just gave me a hint.
I did.
French.
It's not the Hungarian dip. It's not the Venezuelan dip.
French dip.
It's the French dip. Good.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right.
There's either that or the Thailand dip.
that's what do they call that? The banh mi or whatever. I almost did that one. Like I don't know if you know, it's like Vietnamese sandwiches.
No.
All right. So the next one I got your 1 for 2. Ham, turkey, Swiss cheese, raspberry jam on deep fried toast dusted with powdered sugar.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah. I've had that before.
The sandwich that is also a jelly donut, basically.
Basically, yeah. Oh, my God. Deep fried Christmas?
The Count of
Monte Cristo.
Monte Cristo.
Yep.
Give half point for that.
No. I've had that multiple times, like at Disney or something.
Yeah, that's one of those decadent, like I'm on vacation kind of sandwiches for sure.
Yeah, I've had it every time. I'm like, why did I order that? It's greasy and I'm just stuffed. I can't freaking move.
They're really not that good. I've had
No.
it a couple times. I'm just like, these things don't actually pair that well together.
Each time I had it, I was like, why did I order that?
Because you never see it on the menu and you do. You're like, oh, that sounds fun.
Yeah.
All right, next one is corned beef, Swiss cheese, sauerkraut, and Russian or Thousand Island dressing on rye bread.
Reuben?
That is a Reuben, sir.
All right.
All right, you're 2 for 4.
Jeez.
Here is the deal breaker. Whether or not you win this round depends on this last sandwich. Peanut butter, banana, and bacon on white bread, sometimes fried in a skillet.
Elvis Costello, Elvis Presley.
The Elvis sandwich is correct.
All right.
Good. I mean, I don't know if Elvis Costello has a sandwich. I'd be curious.
Probably better than the Elvis Presley sandwich, I imagine.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Peanut butter, banana, and bacon sounds pretty good to me, actually.
I was like, vomit. Oh,
I've never had it. But now I'm thinking I should probably try it. But I don't really eat bacon anymore.
I don't believe it because we love sandwiches.
Yeah, we're a sandwich people. That's what we lived on growing up. We would have died without sandwiches.
Did you know Carly now hates sandwiches?
Because she
grew up on
fucking had
sandwiches?
5 million of them by the time she was 20.
Yeah, exactly. I'm the same way with cereal. Like, I know you can still eat cereal.
No,
I
I
cannot.
haven't had cereal in fucking decades.
Oh, good, because I can't.
Cannot eat cereal. Too much. Yeah, we grew up on cereal, sandwiches, and stir fry every now and then. And spaghetti.
Cereal,
And
sandwiches.
not a spaghetti at Dad's house.
And bagels with cheese.
Oh, yeah. Just a bagel with melted cheese. Put it in the microwave. There you go. There's lunch. There's a lot of that.
Yeah.
I'll still do that every now and then.
Right?
That's
Right?
easy.
Yeah.
All right. Good talking sandwiches and Hayden with you, my brother. I love you.
I love you too.
Thanks for coming on.
Good to see you. Bye.
Okay, for the record, it has been less than 20 years since I've been on the dance floor. One of my other brothers, Andrew, got married about 1.5 years ago, and me and my dad and my nephew, Emmett, we did cut the rug at the reception, for sure. Emmett was 2. Anyway, super grateful for Judd coming back on the show. Man, I gotta tell you, just having anyone come on the show is a big deal for me. It's really special that people go out of their way to help me make this thing work. And when it's my own brother, all the better. So I hope to have him come back on. In fact, I might have him and our friend Dave Horning do a double episode soon. It's in the works. You too are welcome to come on the show if you so desire. person listening, or maybe you know somebody that you think would be a good fit on the show, all you got to do is email me at 9394podcast@gmail.com and tell me which album you want to do. It can't be an album that we've done before on the show, and it can't be Cypress Hill. But other than that, it can be any album from 1993 or 1994. If you need a suggestion and you like Hayden, maybe you like Grant Lee Buffalo.
Have you been to the Cumberland Gap? Oh no. Fix your eyes on the green of the map. Oh no. Where the Appalachians rise. Oh no. Oh no. Have you tasted the finest of trout? Oh no. Have you sleep in a log-burning house? Oh no.
This is the song Mighty Joe Moon from the 1994 album Mighty Joe Moon. They had a 93 album too, but this was the one that really spoke to me. And I'd love to talk about it on the show, this album. If somebody out there is into it, or again, any album from the era, just reach out, 9394podcast@gmail.com. There's this thing that I've been meaning to tell someone in my life, just like a story. It didn't happen to me, it actually happened to my neighbor. But I keep on forgetting to mention it to anybody that's, part of my circle. So I'm going to tell you all. And I see no reason to doubt my neighbor. She seems like a stable person, and her story was not that outlandish. I usually get up at 5:30 in the morning. As a teacher, that's part of the job. You got to get up early. And my neighbor tells me when I ran into her after work the other day that I had missed by about an hour and a half the local police in SWAT formation in my backyard and hers as they almost broke her door down. She has a dog who is very sweet, bulldog / pit bull, I guess. This dog is built like, I don't know, like a Chinese paper dragon, like the parade dragons. This thing is incredibly long, huge head, very sweet, but looks terrifying. And her dog, started barking when it heard the cops in her yard and in my yard and stuff. And I guess she went to the door and opened it right as they were about to break it down with a battering ram. And they were there looking for someone that, doesn't live there. My neighbor has the same landlord as me. We both rent. I didn't recognize the name of the person that they were looking for when my neighbor told me the name. She told me that they did not have a warrant, even though they were about to kick her door down. And, she's a single black woman living alone with a big, scary dog. Again, a very sweet dog, but looks scary. A lot of things could have happened. A lot of bad things could have happened. It could have gone way, way worse than it did. I'm really glad that it didn't, but it was also that's creepy. Just next door to me. It could have been my house. It could be your house. That the police would be ready to knock a door down in Detroit on faulty information and, who knows what once they're in the house. I guess, she said they were pretty friendly, considering, and that it got sorted out, and then they realized that the person they were looking for there's no record of them living in the house, so they left. But yeah, it was kind of a jarring thing to hear. Just to know that, at any moment, you could be sleeping, living your ordinary life, and a SWAT team could just show up and knock your door down and ruin your morning, ruin your day, ruin worse, potentially. Now, this is not new information to me. I've heard this kind of thing before in news stories and stuff, but to have it happen right next door to me was, yeah. So that's my story. I just had to tell somebody. I've been meaning to tell anybody, so I'm telling you. Okay, that's it for now. If you want to rate the show, review the show, give it a rating or whatever on YouTube or Spotify or Apple Podcasts, that'd be very much appreciated. I have other podcasts. You're welcome to check them out if you like TV shows. I got one called Small Screen Sessions where we talk about TV shows. And if you like movies, I have one I've been doing for over 5 years now called Cinema 9, the numerical 9. The Cinema 9 podcast with my friends Mike and Eric. We talk movies. Okay, I will stop babbling now. I do think that leaving all of this information at the end of the episodes, typically where I, get into my life and beg you to rate and review and stuff, it's appropriate to put it at the end of the episode so I can babble away to the people that are still listening, because most folks would have checked out by now, but not you. I appreciate it. I'll see you next time, only not literally. You'll hear me. Goodbye. '93-'94, a music podcast with Travis Roy, is a labor of love. It is not and never will be monetized. Please don't sue.
You then mix all the cheese up so well until it mix up well and put in the milk with the cheese and the crust, pasta, macaroni and butter and serve.